No one at the table yet. We'll wait for someone to come to the table. See who's hungry for some food for thought. Thought I'd go live, haven't been live for a wee while. Kind of missing you guys actually. So it's not such a good day here in Nelson, but cold, quite wintry day. It's overcast, had a few little showers of rain. So we'll just see who's out there. Do a little bit more delving into things. A bit more revealing. Pulling back the veils of lies and deceit and mistruths and untruths. G'day John Boy, thanks for joining us. I was a bit bored at home. Hadn't talked to anyone for a while, so I thought I'd go live. Just cover some more stuff, go over some things, delve a little bit deeper into the mystery, to the my story of words. It could be your story. So, because it's what it's all about. It's all about you guys out there. That's what it's all about. Getting back to that love. And when we start vibrating on love, man, there's nothing stopping us. Truth. You know, things materialize. Beautiful word. Beautiful word. So we're going to cover a few more things today, unravel a bit more of the deceit in the words, hidden in plain sight. But again, you know, as I always say when I cover things, it's caveat emptor, buyer beware, let those that be deceived be deceived. And that includes everything I say as well. You know, it includes everything I'm telling you, everything you hear from me. Everything you read, everything you see on the programming box called your tell-lie visions, tells lies and visions. Question everything, folks. Question everything. Because remember those words? They cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Words are energy. We've got to use them wisely. That's how it works. So again, let those that be deceived be deceived. We're going to go back to the smorgasbord. There's some more gas. There's some more gas on this board. Actually, it's a bit dark in here today because it's a bit overcast. I've got the light on, but we're going to cover a bit more stuff today. Go down, we'll get into the court of public opinion. Let's get that one going. The common law court. The court of public opinion. Actually started up a group on Facebook a couple of years ago called COO. It was the Court of United People. It was an acronym for the Court of United People. Otherwise spelt as COO, C-O-U-P. Interesting word. Coup d'etat, you might know it as. We're going to unravel some of the division, all the maths, because it's all figures, it's all a numbers game, gets back to the numbers. And we got the numbers at the moment. The numbers are growing. They're snowballing exponentially. There's exponential growth in the awakening. The consciousness arising. The raising of people out of the world of the dead. The raising of the dead. Actually, that light's no good, is it? Back into the world of the living. Get back to the nature of things. Because there's lots of signs in nature. That's where you get your signature from. Talking about nature. We talk about human nature, don't we? Is it good or is it evil? Well, it can be both, you know. It's like many things. Like a gun. A gun can be used for good or it can be used for evil. In self-defense, well, it's pretty much a state we should be in at the moment, actually, folks. As a state of self-defense. And how do we defend ourselves? We defend ourselves with knowledge. That's how we do it. We defend ourselves with knowledge. gets us out of that oppression. There's a lot of oppression been going on. I covered the old press yesterday. Remember the press I covered? I don't know if you've seen me YouTube channel yet, but human nature, you know, is it good or is it evil? Well, you know, science and environment and years of history clearly prove that it is the environment that creates the condition that we operate in. Human nature is neither inherently good nor inherently evil. Instead, we should consider the operating conditions, or the environment in which human beings exist, which influences behaviour to a great extent, thus creating the current human condition. And we're in a bit of a condition at the moment, folks. Hey Reboy, thanks for joining us. I was a bit bored at home today, so I thought I'd go live and have a yak with a few people, go over a few things again. Stuff I've pretty much covered before on the other little vids I've done and that, but yeah, it's nice to have people live at the table, consuming the food for thought. Because remember, I'm going to go over a bit of that. Words have power. And your imagination is the only limit, folks. That's you. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, that's exactly right. You're right every time, folks. That's how powerful you are. That's how powerful you are, folks. See that? That's how powerful it is. When we get back to that, we get back to the truth of the matter, which is the heart of the matter. Matter is to manifest. That's our natural state of matter. Because if you don't mind, you won't matter. If it doesn't matter, well, you won't mind, will you? And if it's got to be mind, then it's worth something. There's value in things you mind, isn't there? Because that's your timey. Ties you to something. And then you watch, don't you? You watch. Tick-tock, tick-tock with your time. That matters, eh? That matters. So we've got to get back to the heart of things. Because home is where the heart is. Truth is at the heart of the matter. We know that. We know these things. Sometimes we just need to see it. Because again, you know, that caveat emptor, buyer beware. Let those that be deceived be deceived. But the thing about this, I'll show you how that works. The thing about this is that sound rings true, doesn't it? Sound rings true. And you hear sound, that's why it rings true. It's the truth of the matter, isn't it? We've got to get down to the truth of the matter of things. Because then we can see where we are. Well, that light's going to be a real pain, isn't it? I might just try and turn that light off, actually. And just make sure it's not too dark. Because that light's going to be a pain. Is that still okay? Should be able to see that alright. Should be able to see that alright. See the sea, the currents of the sea, the current sea. That's how that works. You and your little vessel. I've talked about using your vessels, your little cup. How you're a vessel, you're a container. We're very, very well contained these days. The fake law. The fake law that they, you know, it's legal. It's not lawful. It's not lawful, folks. It doesn't recognise any of this stuff. It's not about the real estate. Your real state. What's your first state, folks? What is your first state? Oh, it's a state of mind, isn't it? That's your first state. There's a bit of that going on. A bit of mind control going on here. And it's in your sight. It's in your mind sight, in your eye sight. Hey. That's what's going on. They're draining your liquidity. Remember how I told you before about how liquidity... Where did I have it? Liquidity is all from the banks of the river. Remember how we have the banks of the river? Where do you find banks, folks? Oh, you find them on the sides of rivers. What do the banks on the sides of rivers do? They control the currents to the sea. The current sea. Do you see? It's all about the money, the liquidity. That's why there's so many words in our language telling us exactly about the liquidity and the liquid, the value, the worth, the value, the worth and the cost of those things, the liquidity. It's all about your little vessels on the sea. But at the moment, they're all open for salvage, folks. Because it's the law of the sea, remember? It's the law of the sea. What's the law of the sea? It's piracy. And there are a bunch of cons, which means there are a bunch of criminals out on the high seas committing piracy. It's the conspiracy. And it's a great conspiracy, folks. That's what they call it. And it grates you like cheese graters. That's what it does. Because it creates constructs to confuse. Because the con's on the table. It's the constable. And then you're caught, you see? Because he's ranting about war, that guy. That constable. It's a war rant. He's got a war rant there. He's trying to fuse the construct. A contract. Actually, I haven't even got that word there. I might have to add that. Contract. It's a contract, folks. It's a contract. It gives it traction. You see that? That's how that works. Because they've got to tell you what they're doing so that they can confer your consent. They need your consent to get you out of the world of the living, out of that lawful world, the world of truth, that sounds good. It sounds good because you're on solid ground. We talk about ground being sound, don't we? You got to have a sound foundation, folks. It's got to be solid, common. Come on, locals. Where's your voice? You want to be sound, don't you? Hey? It's time we start speaking up. Let a bit of this ring. Let a bit of this stuff start ringing. Get back onto the land. To get her. Why is it together, Norm? Oh, it's Papa Tuanuku. That's what it is. We got to get her. Because the water, this law of the sea, this piracy, Admiralty commercial banking law, the banks, they've got you in your little vessels over here and they're siphoning you. They're making you insolvent, folks. You are the solution that they are draining upon. All by your consent. Because you haven't tested the con. You see how that works? You got to test these cons, folks. And that gives you good foundation, doesn't it? That gives you good foundation. Then you're on the firmament, aren't you? Terra firma. You've got good standing on your soles of your heels, healing your soul with your feet, firmly planted on the earth, on the real estate, the real estate of your mind. That's the value. That's the knowledge, folks. That's the wee knowledge. Remember the knowledge, the knoll, the wee hill that you stand on the edge of, so that you can see the landscape and escape the sea. Get out of the seascape and get back onto the landscape, folks. So we certainly need to escape the system. The system's designed to get you over here. Very cleverly designed. Remember I showed you that before? About the books of law. The books of law. There's that law and there's that law. Biblical law. But Don't get tied up with the religion, or whichever idol it is you call your God. No need getting confused with that. Because these rules here, the rules in this book, are really, really simple. This is why ignorance of the law is no excuse, because the laws in here are really simple. It's pretty easy stuff, this one. Cause no harm, cause no injury, live and let live. They're pretty simple rules to live by. You know, back to the truth and the heart of the matter, and the home. That means being truthful with yourself too, folks. It means being truthful with yourselves, being honest, and honour, with integrity, and mana. You know? So this is what's happening. We're all being pulled out of the simple world where there's no excuse for the law because we know it inherently. That's another word I didn't put up there. Inherent. It's inherent, folks. This law over here. It's in here, isn't it? See that? It's in here, isn't it? I was telling you again. Where's it? It's right at the heart of the matter. It's at the heart of the matter. Because that's what matters, isn't it? Where your heart's at. Your head can be anywhere. You can be headless, in fact. You can lose sight of your temples, and your crown, and your foresight. It's easily lost over here because you're lost at sea. You're lost at sea over here. With all the terms and conditions, or the trackings and controls. You're going to be ill over here. Because you've got liability. You've got the ability to lie over here. It's deceit. Again, this language here is doublespeak. It's legalese. It's designed to confuse. Again, to fuse the con. To get you into contract. And to contract is when you're cold and cool. Hey, it's quiet. They want you to be quiet over here. They call it a hearing, but you don't have one, folks. You have no voice over here. Because you got to be represented. Present yourselves presently in the present. Because that's a gift and that's a present. That's why it's called the presence. And gift. Gift, I've gone over gift before. Gift being an acronym where the letters stand for other words. And that's gamete intrafallopian tube. The gamete intrafallopian tube, gamete is to move from one point to another, usually from a not so good point to a better point. Intra is in the middle of or in between. Fallopian tube is the woman's birth canal. And that's where we get the birth. Hey. That's where we get that birth from. To be earth. It's telling us to be earth. Back on the land to get her. And the funny thing about all the water, this unfathomable stuff, that we think we're going to find a solution. Oh, you'll find a solution, but you'll be lost at sea. You'll have more than you can drink over here. You'll be drowning. You'll be drowning over there in the colour of law. That's the colour of law. Like the hue of man. Remember how that worked? The hue of man? It's not you, it's your caricature. It's your persona. Turns you into a beggar because you continue to apply for things that the man already has by his inherent birth as part of the earth, the dust, the atom, the atom. You see how that works? And you don't want to be caught. Hey, you little ions, you don't want to be caught. Hey, you don't want to be caught. Because that's a game that you're drowning in. We're already drowning in it. Because of the power of the words. Remember the spells? This is all spelling. It's casting spells. Cast. You cast things in a die, don't you? You cast things in a die, folks. And this is all a press. It's all impressed ink. It's the ink. The thought put into ink is to think. To put it onto paper with your pen. Again, your pen is a cell, because that's your right, isn't it? This is your right here. So you write. You think you're right. You want to be the author of that right, the authority, don't you? And you're nah me. Nah me. Why is it not me? Because of your birth certificate. You got certified, folks. It's actually your last name. It's actually just your last name, not your given names. I'll get into that at a later stage, but you want to be the author of your rights, folks. The power of the pen, mightier than the sword. We're told this. How does that work? Sword's interesting too. You know, we just change that around to there. Words and swords, folks, they can be cutting, can't they, these words? They have power. Lots of power in words. Lots of power in spells and magic. Words are magic. Remember the Magi? Come from the place called Medea, where they would cast all the spells and the kings would send their pages. Again, we're back on the paper. I think it's P-A-I-G. They would send their pages to get the news. They would send them to the north, the east, the west and the south, and they would bring back the news. There'll be, interview. See, a lot of these journalists, they interview, don't they? They get in between and they have their spin or their view, the interview. See how that works? And then they report. Why do they report, folks? Because they get your vessel back into the paddock. See how that works? The dock, the dock. And then you're caught again, aren't you? Then you're caught again. You're caught. What they do there, they book you, don't they? They book you and they bind you. They book you and they bind you. They get you over here into the legal fiction world because you think that name that they call out is you. Well, it's not. So they get you from the world of the lawful, where all your rights are inalienable. They are unalienable, folks. They're not unalienable rights, okay? They can be alienated from you. So be careful of that one. These rights can be taken away from you. Well, they can't actually. You give them away, again, by this consent business. That's what's going on there. You're giving them away by consent because you don't comprehend the spellings of the words. It's through the contract of the words. Ask any female about contractions when she's giving birth, and she'll tell you that they're painful, folks. Unless you fully comprehend the T's and C's. The T's and C's. Because you'll find there's agreed over here. Isn't that a funny word? Agreed. Oh yeah, that's because everybody's benefiting from it. Oh, are they? No, not everybody. Not everybody. Not your body. Not your vessel. Your vessel's not benefiting from it, although you want to be the beneficiary. Because that's the nature of trusts, actually, folks. You've got the administrator, the admin, the trustee, and the beneficiary. It's funny how the government's made this word a dirty word, isn't it? It's funny that. I wonder why they do that. Don't you want to be the beneficiary of the trust? So they've got you stepping out of this role, and you can actually also be the this is another good word, you'll like this. That's the executor, isn't it? Actually, that might be an O. Is that the executor, or is that the executor? Oh, that might be the executor. At the entrance, eh? He's just at the entrance of things. Is that to entrance? Is the executor there to entrance you as you enter? As they inter you out of this position and get you to be the trustee, which makes you liable, the ability to lie. They've got you in the legalese, and the fiction, the person, the corporation. This is the zombie apocalypse over here, folks. This is your zombie apocalypse. This is the world of the dead. Conscripted. Hey, mateys, because you're all on board over here. And you've gone off the land. And the interesting thing about this, the law of the seas, oh, which one's more powerful, Norm? Well, obviously, this one here. Why is it so obvious, Norm? Well, because underneath all that, all those rivers, lakes and that, what do you got? You've got land, haven't you? That's how that works. That's how that works, folks. And so there's a lot of deceit going on through the language, through the words. A lot of the discord. We go into the groups called the discord, don't we? You go into those groups called discord. They want you to be discordant and out of accordance. They don't want you to be in accord, because accord's a note, isn't it? Again, it's a note. A chord is a note, isn't it? Is that an A sharp or a B flat or a $10 or a $20? And a dollar is dolan. It's Latin, means pain. Take note, people, it's not very tender. That one. Hey, money's mercy. The currents of the sea, folks. Mercies in French, thank you. And when the beggars were asking for mercy, that's what they were doing. They were asking for money. To give them money, the one eye of the the monarchy. That's what they were doing. They were begging for money. Mercy, mercy, please. Please, you know, please, to plea. You go to court and plea, don't you? Please, at your hearing, your testimony, convict you, don't you? But they always tell us, isn't it funny how they always tell us we want to have this, don't we? Oh, you want to have that? You need to have that because you're on. That's your contract there, folks. Ion. Atom, ion, ions, that's what you're made of. 6 protons, 6 electrons and 6 neutrons. That's how that works. Are you the beast? Are you the beasts out there? The beasties. So they tell us, well, we want to have conviction, don't we? But you don't want to be a convict, do you? But that's what they're getting you to be. That's where they're getting you out of one world into another, because you're not vigilant enough, folks. You're not vigilant enough and you're not asking why. You see how that works? Because you're in a cult, all you religious lot. A lot of you get upset with that word there. Oh, I'm not religious. Yeah. I think we're all spiritual. I think many of us would relate to being spiritual, which is a good start. But that word there upsets a lot of people, eh? That one there can either give you that bit of insight or it can incite you. Hey, that's what can happen. But that one there will always lead to that one there, eventually, if you're staying in truth. And they call us revolting too, don't we? Don't they? Best we start, I reckon. Best we start being revolting. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Hey, there's a bit of reason in that. We're able to reason, are we? Oh, sounds reasonable. Yeah. Well, what's going on here? We'll have a look who's here. Okay, Dolly, how are you? Glenn, Emma, Daryl, Simone, Lewi's hanging in there. Good on you, brother. Got any questions as I'm going along? I'll try and address them, because that gives us residence then, doesn't it? When you've got an address. We like to address things in our abodes. Where's your abode? Are you somebody? Anybody? Nobody? This is what's going on. We're being bamboozled by bullshit, folks. And it's time we start really standing on the land, stamping our feet and drawing our lines in the sand. Well, I'm just rebooting my computer here. Because shit's trying to be rolled over us. I don't know how long you guys can put up with being bullshitted too, but I've seen enough wrestling matches to know that the game's rigged, folks. The game's been rigged. I don't know what one's next, actually. What did I have next there? Oh yeah, power of words. Just need to garner your own power again, folks. Start raising your voices, because they want you silenced. They want you silenced. They know how powerful we are. They know how powerful we are, man. And once we start operating in truth and honor and love and compassion and empathy, you know, I get a lot of that. I get a lot of insults, eh? But when you understand where it's coming from, it's like water off a duck's back, and that's what it's got to be like. So I get a lot of that on my Facebook, you know. But it's all good. It's all good. It means people are thinking. It means you've pushed a button, you know. And they'll go away and they might think about it. They might have a wee contemplate in their temples. Because that's what we do, don't we? We contemplate. This is what it's all about. Just planting a few seeds, that's what it'll do. They might be upset with you and pissed off with you, but they'll come back to the table, folks. If it rings true, they might not like truth. Many people seek truth, but they don't like it. Hey, that one there. Hey. And I think a lot of people are starting to see through it now. A lot more people questioning what's going on. A lot more people realising that we're being bullshitted too, and it's being done through the words. Once we can start seeing that, whoa, the power of our words, folks. And sometimes the power of no words. As I say, you look at a flower and it speaks beauty, but it says nothing. That was Terence McKenna. Very interesting chap. Words are powerful, make no mistake about it. What else have I got here? Oh yeah, about mistakes. We all make mistakes. Gotta get over them. Move on. Carrying the past behind you, folks, it's a heavy load. You want to unload. And it's all about communication. What's that one there? Oh yeah, that one. What else do I have? Oh yeah, just another example of a word that we use in daily language that we don't really know the meaning of. The word nice means foolish, ignorant, frivolous, senseless. It's from Old French. Careless, clumsy, weak, poor, needy, simple, stupid, silly, foolish. From Latin, it's necius. I just thought I'd show you that one. So again, the power of the words. You need to get back in accord with things, back in line, back in your centre. Get centred again, folks. Get back to your core. You know, and don't go beating yourself up, because we are, after all, fallible. We make mistakes. We make mistakes because it's a messy age in this era. You know, we're going to make mistakes, but you've got to forgive yourself and get over it and start empowering yourselves. Now's the time for empowerment, powering up, folks. Get your eyes on high beam, because there's lots going on, especially here in little Aotearoa. We've got lots going on here. It's a big movement to try and get ourselves an updated version of a proclamation of independence in line with the Hei Wakaputanga and the other declarations that have been there for a long time, but no one seems to really know about. I remember one time I went up to Waitangi on the 28th of October. I was making my way up there. Well, I was organising my way to get up there, actually, and I approached a couple of the maraes about going up there, up to Waitangi on 28th October, because it's the opening of the court. The court is open. And I thought, yeah, and it's the, of course, the day that the Declaration of Independence was signed, the Hei Wakaputanga. So I've got a little bit of stuff over here, somewhere. One of these, but extremely important information, historical information that you need to be aware of. Because this stuff's becoming more important, especially in this day and age when we've got corporate takeover. See, what they've done is they've corporatised you. They've made you into a corporation. Your government's a corporation. And a corpse is a dead body, and oration means to speak. Our corporation, it's a fiction, folks. It's a fiction. It's a lie. It's a facade. It's actually a construct in your minds. Remember the construct? They've constructed this from birth. They've constructed it from your birth. Deliberately. I'll just spin that around. So you need to look into that. That's extremely important information. See, this is the original one. This is the original one. I think, upon more research I need to do on it, but I'm pretty sure that this was a sleight of hand. Again, the old Magi. Remember the Magi? The Magi and his sleight of hand gets you to look over here while the real magic's, or the real trick's going on over somewhere else. That's what the Magi do, and it's straight out magic, isn't it? That's why he's called the magistrate. So he sits up there on his bench, which is a Latin word that means bank. Okay, he sits up there on the banks. Remember, the banks control the money, the currency, the flow of the money, the currents to the sea, the source. The source is you, your little vessel with the blood, the Holy Grail. You are the Holy Grail, the blood vessel. You are the vessel that holds the blood. And that's voluminous. That's voluminous, that is. So he's up there sitting on the bench, and he represents the bank. He don't care who's paying, someone's paying. And it's a game that's played on a court, isn't it? Where you got the respondent and the plaintiff, or the accused, or whatever it is. And you stand there up on the dock. Remember, you're back on the sea, we're in the dock. Across the bar. We're in the dock, our vessels. Courts are actually vessels on dry dock. In fact, they are. But yeah, there's many levels of this information. It's extremely interesting if you're that way inclined, which I am. I got into it through the words. I was just interested in the words, folks. It's the words because it's a language. It's spelling. It's telling you exactly what's going on. They've got to, because it confers your consent. They're casting the spells into the cast, because they'll have you cast into a culture, won't they? It's your cult, isn't it? Is your cult? Is that your culture? You've got a culture, haven't you? Where else do you find cultures, folks? You find them in a petri dish, don't you? Scientists look at a culture in a petri dish, and they give them a poke every now and then, just to stir them up to see what happens. And that's what's going on. We're being poked. They're casting these spells. And when you cast, you're in a die cast, isn't it? Because you've got no knowledge. If you've got no knowledge of this, or overstandings, or understandings, or understandings of this stuff, then you'll be forever going, oh, I know there's something wrong, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Well, this is it, folks. This is it. This is where you can get out of your pen. This is what's got you into the pen, into your cell, where you've sold yourself. You've sold, folks. Sold to the highest bidder. Wow, actually, you've given it away pretty cheaply, actually, without any sort of uproar. Well, a few of us have been uproaring for a while. Oh, shivers, my dog wants to get out. Keep going. There you go. Good boy. So we've been being sold out for a long time, folks. The land's been sold out from under our feet. And it's done through that outfit called Inland Revenue, folks. They tell you, again, straight in front of your face, what they're doing to you. It's a tax, folks. Okay? You've got all the information because you've been in there and you filled in the form, haven't you? You filled in the form, so you're informed now. You see how that works? And you assumed it's all for the benefit of everybody. Remember the benefit, the beneficiary? But it's not. It's not, folks. It's not. It's being administered and entrusted away from you by the executor. Because you're in trance. You see that? This is the trance. You're spellbound. Again, it's mind control. What's going on is a very, very extremely advanced form of mind control. And again, if you don't mind, it won't matter. That's how that works. Where thought goes, energy flows. You are energy. You are the gold. You want to get mining, get back to the gold, you? Because that's an ore. Remember, that's an ore. It's solid. It's got solidity. It's got cost, value and worth. Where are we? It's solid. Gold is, isn't it? And that's in the ground, isn't it? Foundational stuff. That's the real value. In old days, I mean, even today, in fact, the actual true definition of the word money is gold and or silver. Silver being the poor man's gold. But that's what's going on. You've sold out your real estate. The real state of your mind's been sold, folks, through the education. So that's what we're doing. Diagnosis is from the Greek preposition dia, meaning through, by way of. It's like, for example, diagonal. Diagonal, for example. Knowledge by way of knowledge. So we need to raise our levels of knowledge and understanding, because we know that the universe doesn't speak in English or any other constructs of words, which are wards. Again, words are wards, folks. They're putting us into wards. We're born into a ward. Whether we're backward or forward, we've definitely been put into a ward. And they know all this stuff. They know how neuro-linguistic program works on our conscious and subconscious minds. See, all this stuff here, all this stuff that's hidden in plain sight, it's all hidden in plain sight, but it's working on you subconsciously. This stuff is designed to divide and conquer you by your consent. It's extremely clever. When you look at how diabolically clever it is, it's actually unbelievable until you see it. And this is why you need to write things down and become the author of your rights, because there's power in the sword or the words. The pen is mightier than the sword. So this is how they've done it. This is how you get to that stage and think, oh, well, you know, I wonder why government's doing that. Or they've usually told you exactly what they're going to do. I mean, when the muppet that's sitting in the control seat up there tells you that they're going to find a solution, they're just telling you that they're going to tax you a little bit more. Where do you think government gets its money from, folks? Where do you think they get it from? They borrow it. They borrow it from the Bank of New Zealand. It's actually called, the full name is the Federal Reserve Bank of New Zealand. It's federal, folks. They've got to tell you what they're doing. So you need to question everything twice in this particular reign, so you can maybe fill your vessels up a little bit more, quench your own thirst so you can quench the thirsts of others. And we do that by operating here. We operate there. And it's easy. It's just too easy. It's so simple. And what do they say? They say that too, don't they? Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Hey, it's pretty easy. Because it has effect. All this stuff, hey? When you're on it. Hey, it has effect. See, once you start to see this stuff, once you start to realise that there's real lies out there, and you have the real eyes to start seeing it, and you can start to decipher, because that's all this is. It's all ciphers, signs, characters, personas, caricatures. These are symbols. Oh, symbols. What's a symbol, Norm? Oh, it's a sound. It's a thing that makes sounds. Oh, that rings true, doesn't it? I can hear that. Because you've got two ears. Remember, you've got two ears and one mouth. It's to listen twice and speak once. And speak in here. And from here, you know. From there. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy stuff. You know, we have a lot of societal peer pressures of bullshit about being male and female. Words are powerful, you know. If you're around guys that can use words such as beautiful and love and you know, words like that, those are the people you want to be around, because that's the energy. That's what they're exuding, and you can tell, because that's what we do, don't we? With our words, we tell. You can tell a lot about an individual by the words they use, you know, and the intent. Another aspect of that too is intent behind the words, actually. If you're using words, just, you know, open-mindedly garbage rattling off and rabbiting, there's no real emotional intent behind those words, those types of, or that type of language, or that type of speaking or communication. But once you're emotional, when you've got your energy in motion, did I have that there? I'm sure I had that there. Emotion. It's energy in motion. Oh, did I have over there? Oh, yeah, there it is. No. It's energy in motion. Is emotion. Once you have emotion behind those words, man, you know, you can, your frequencies change. Words can change your frequency and your vibration. Not only the words you're hearing, but the words that you are using yourself. You don't want to not use this language properly, because then you get into abuse. You see how that works? And a lot of this language, you know, is built on death. Oh, I'm dying to have one of those. Oh, I'm dying to have one. Oh, and the kids use this word sick. Oh, and it means cool. Oh, isn't that sick? But it's cool. And they say wicked. Oh, wicked. Do you see the levels of vibrations of these words? And so you have to start thinking about what it is you're thinking about, folks, because it matters. It matters, that stuff. What's going on in between your temples, you're listening to that. When you read a book, it's your voice, you know. When you're thinking, it's your voice. And then when you're lost for thought, you might go, That's how that works. Because thought's energy, it's vibration, it's sound, it's creative. It creates straight away. And it's good. That's why babies, when they first start talking, they go, goo, goo. I don't know whether that's got anything to do with anything, but I thought that was funny. But it is, I mean, for me, because I was an English teacher, and I had a couple of very elderly students who were very astute. English was their second language, although they were still very good with their vocabulary, but they would always ask me, where does this word come from? Oh, why do you do that thing? How does that happen? And what does that mean? And describe the word because, you know. I couldn't do it. I didn't even pass school cert in English. That's how that again, you know, people tell you, oh, you need this piece of paper and that piece of paper to do it. No, you don't, folks. No, you don't. All you need is the will. All you need is your will. That's all you need. Your will and your testament, isn't it, eh? Powerful words, those. Biblical words too, aren't they? Also lawful words, aren't they? I mean, you'll find a lot of the words that are in this book here, of course, naturally flow into this book here. But again, this one here has butchered the meanings. So they're not the same as in here. That's why we need to get back on and become the masters of our ships. Stand at the helm. Because at the moment we're in a pretty sick society. But it's by design. You know, it's all by design, folks. It's been very cleverly designed. All the different terms of the sea, the laws of the sea. There are so many things. Authorship, battleship, you know, internship, membership, workmanship. There's so many different words that are telling us exactly what's going on. They're describing the liquidity and the value, the cost and the worth of things right in front of our faces. You know, when banks rupture, it's called bankrupt, isn't it? When your boat's got a hole in it, you bail it out, don't you? You bail it out. Oh, you have a bailiff over here, don't you? Oh yeah, that's what they do. And they discharge stuff. All to do with your ownership. All to do with your vessel. They talk about floating stocks, don't they? Floating stock on the stock exchange. The cattle. Oh, the chattel. No, it's called chattel, Norm. It's not cattle. It's chattel. Oh, let's have a look at that, eh? Let's have a look at that chattel. So you know the CH can be a K as well. It's like church. Church is Kirk. Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. Because it's an enterprise, folks. I'm telling you, it's an enterprise. What's an enterprise? Oh, it's a business. It's a denomination. The denominations, those churches, aren't they? Those Captain Kirks. See, this is how, you know, this stuff has been used. Religion. There's certain tools that they use, folks. We're very aware of a lot of them. You know, religion, money. Religion and money. This is all a religion. It's all a religion. These are all religions. You're all religious because it's all speaking in tongues. You talk about speaking in tongues. Oh, I'm not religious. But you're all out there speaking in tongues and using spells and casting those spells. And you're using all the false value. All the false values there. They get you to get you out of the world of the living. Your inalienable rights. This book here, folks, this book here overrides that. It's smaller. This particular one's smaller, but it'll override that any of the day of the week. That's how that works. It's the power of the words. These are powerless. These words, they will lessen your power. These will empower you. These are powerful words in there. And they ring, and they're really simple. I mean, it's really simple stuff. You got to get back to the heart of the matter. Home's where the heart is. Truth's at the heart of the matter. And if you don't mind, it won't matter. See how that works? That's how that works, folks. It's pretty easy stuff. 'Cause that's what we are. That's what we are, folks, in our natural state of being. And unfortunately, they've got us into the state of a fictitious entity, of a corporate state of being. And we're jumping over here, and we're drowning. We're literally drowning. The laws over here, folks, again, as I say, are real simple. They're real simple. It's common. It's common to the land, to the locals, to the area. That's what it is. It's your area. You know, and there's different areas have different rules and different ideals and different customs and different culture. That's how it works. But fundamentally, and any religion you go to, any of these books of religion, whether it's Muhammad or Krishna or Buddha, oh, by the way, they're all coming back, aren't they? Aren't they, all these characters coming back? Apollo and Zoroaster and Mithra, and they're all coming back. So something's coming back. Something's definitely coming back, folks, out there. But they're pretty simple foundational rules, these ones, in all religions, aren't they? Just don't kill, don't steal, and don't deceive. I'd actually put it down to that one. I do believe there's only one. Just don't deceive. That's pretty simple stuff. It's pretty simple stuff, folks. You know, it's pretty easy stuff. Because unfortunately, as one of my favourite authors wrote, Krishnamurti, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And this over here, folks, is profoundly sick by design. It's sick by design. That is its intent. That's its intent, folks. That's its intent. To divide and to conquer. It's pretty simple stuff. And again, like I said at the start, our natural state of being is love. Compassion, kindness, sharing, giving. That's our natural state. We naturally want to give and be and socialise and interact and communicate and learn from each other. That's what we are naturally. And if you're not learning, you're not growing. And you're not expanding. Because to learn, again, is to earn. And it takes effort. It takes you to mind about the matter. It takes you to be mindful of these matters. Because, weather, this is like the weather. It's a forecast. They have got to tell you, and they tell you within the language what's going on, what they're doing, what they're done, and what they're going to do. And that's the other arm of Hollywood as well, and all your movies and your entertainment. Entertainment, folks. Look at the word. Again, the words tell you what they're doing or what's going on. Enter to attain your mind. A-I-N, is it? That's what they're doing. It's enter to attain your mind on the tell lie vision. They know we're 60% visual in our communication. They know that. That's why they've incorporated the spells. They know, because consciously you won't pick up half of the stuff before. Before you would have. Now you know. Now that you know, you can't not know. Okay? And so you're going to naturally pick up on this stuff yourself. You guys have been, a few of you there, Jason and Ray and Buchanan, Tana, a few of you guys, Craig, have been following me for a wee while. Are you starting to see some difference? Are you starting to notice things that you didn't notice before? All of a sudden, and it's like this, it's like someone will say to you, oh gosh, there's lots of VW beetles around. You won't have looked at them before, but all of a sudden someone's pointed it out to you, and you'll pick up on it, and you'll start seeing it for yourselves. So this is what I'm hoping is happening out there. Well, there is, because there's people coming back to me with words, but hopefully you guys are starting to stand and look at things from a different perspective. Because it's all about the perspect and respect, isn't it? The perspective. Your perspex. Are they rose-coloured perspex, guys? In disguise? Because it's all a guise, isn't it? It's a disguise. See, again, even while I'm expanding on these things, you pick up on other words as well. Disguise, 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 to guise, to guile, and dis again. Remember, we dis and we cuss. Remember how we do that? We get into these Discord groups and we dis and we cuss. And we dis and we cuss and we con and we verse. And this is the state of the communication that's going on by design. Again, it's all the spellings that they've cast upon you. And when you cast things and they become solid, you put them in a die. In a coffin, because they've got no air. A coffin, because they got no air. So little vessels out in the sea are in the lullaby. Remember the lullaby when you're dead at sea? The lull of the ciphers. You're in the lull of the ciphers. I'll show you another one there, actually. I showed it the other day, but it's quite interesting. Alright, I'll just open up my computer again. She's on go slow. So yeah, I'll have a drink. So yeah, I haven't done a live for a wee while. I just thought I'd go live because it's a bit of a ratty day here in Nelson. Actually, I forgot to say the date too. What is the date today? She'll come up in a minute. Oh, Tuesday, 5th of May. It's all good. Tuesday, 5th of May. There we go. 4:26. Alright, I'll show you what. I'll show you how this works. I'll show you this because it's like, you couldn't make this shit up. Where are we? I thought it was, there it is. This one here. You couldn't make this shit up. This is Lucifer, folks. About the Star Trek. That's right, I was on the Star Trek and Captain Kirk telling you how it's an enterprise. The Vatican has I'm sure, I've heard higher figures, but we'll say over 60% ownership in the world's observatories. Remember I said about how something's coming back? They're very interested in looking at the heavens and the signs in the heavens. There God say, and the signs in the heavens. Something about that. So culture, it's your culture, it's religion, you're religious because you're talking in tongues, speaking in tongues. There's all sorts of gods wrapped up in your words and your lexicon as well. Your dialect. Gosh, you couldn't make it up. Lecture, dialect in their lecture. See how they confuse, they con the fuse. So Lucifer's a telescope that the Vatican operates. It's called, they've really stretched themselves to make up this name for Lucifer. They really wanted to call it Lucifer, folks. You can tell that quite clearly. So they called it the Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. I mean, they really went out of their way to call their telescope Lucifer. I mean, what do you think they're doing, folks? I mean, what kind of an organisation goes out of their way to do that? I mean, need you say more? And this is the type of shit that's right in front of our faces. It's right in front of our faces. Now, I said to you about the Hollywood. You know, Hollywood's got to tell you what they're doing, what they've done, and what they're going to do, because it's enter to attain your mind. And it's all in, even when you go into it, it's all in film, isn't it? Film where you have the actors, and what are actors? Actors are the cast. Oh, we're back into that cast again. You see how that works? Actors, they're charismatic, aren't they? Oh, they're pretty charismatic actors. See how that works? Oh, they're pretty charismatic actors, aren't they? Those actors. And you have, and what are the ones they call you when the news, they call them anchors, don't they? Anchor. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up. I mean, how much more information do you need to be able to start really comprehending the power of this particular mode of control? I mean, it's phenomenally brilliant. It's extremely evil. Encore, chorus. Oh, look at that core. Encore. Oh, look at that. Angkor. Angkor Wat. I've been to Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Amazing place. Angkor. Oh, I say anchor. N. C-H-O-R. It is too. Anchor. An accord. An accordance. Wow. An accord dance. It's a dance, all right, folks. It's a dance, but it's out of harmony. It's out of harmony, and when things are out of harmony, they can make music, can't they? They can make you sick when things aren't in harmony. You know, when you've got an orchestra, because they're orchestrating something, aren't they? There's an orchestra. The people that orchestrated all this stuff, well, I don't even know, they're not actually people, but anyway, the individual entities that orchestrated all this stuff, they do not have your best interest in mind, folks. I mean, they do not have your best interest in mind at all in any way whatsoever. Those individuals that you go voting for every 4 years, like it was Karl Marx that said every 4 years or every few years the oppressed are allowed to choose from the oppressors which ones will oppress them and repress them for the next 3 years. I mean, and that's it. All you're voting for, folks, is a CEO, the executor, president, isn't it? The president or the prime minister. See, we're back in that religion again. You people try and tell me you're not religion. You'll listen to the ministers, the health minister and the finance minister that are bleeding you, that are making you insolvent at the moment. Creating insolvency, they're liquidating your little vessels at the moment. Wait until that tsunami ripple effect hits your little vessels, folks. This is the next big game. They're going to collapse the currency, folks. They're going to collapse the currents of the sea, and they're going to leave you stranded, high and dry. We'll put you back on the land, but there might not be nothing left on it. Or the ownership might have been transferred. See, we travel on the land across roads of, again, shipping lanes, folks. You travel on the left lane or the right lane. You have islands on your roads. They're roads. They brought the law of the sea onto the land. And we're drowning in that law of the sea. And that's why, between, say, Greymouth and Christchurch, you ship something, don't you? You transport. It goes from port to port. It's a transport. We like our sport, don't we, folks? We love our sport. Hey. So this is what they've got us. They've got us in discord, out of accord, through this language. Through the spellings and through the pen. The power of the pen, folks. Because a pen locks you in like a prison pen, doesn't it? It's a tax. Again, taxing the land, the inland revenue. That's what they are. They're in a greed, all right. They're definitely in a greed. They're siphoning our liquidity, our liquid assets, sold. Left, right and centre, folks. They don't work for us. You just vote for the CEO of a company. It's like a company that makes computers, like Apple, for instance. They make computers. I mean, it doesn't matter who sits in the seat at the top. They're still going to continue to make computers, folks. And these guys here, the CEOs and the runners, the ministers that you keep voting for, they're just going to continue the business of the company, folks, of the corporation. It's simple as that. Everyone that lives in a modern society is an employee of the government. You work your ass off all year, and then they want up to 40% of you for doing nothing. They spend it however they like, without your permission on things. And usually just make the world worse, mainly war. That also means that if you work 40 hours a week, times 50, you've worked 2,000 hours, and 800 of those hours you were literally slaving for the government, of which most of us don't even trust, but we try to get on with. Hey, we try to get on with life anyway, mainly through the fear, because if we don't pay our taxes, then we get attacked, don't we? And at what level of tax do you feel, people, is not slavery? At what level of tax percentage of your money taken away by someone else is not slavery? Is it, what, 10% of your hard-earned money? Your sweat equity? That's your sweat equity again. The liquidity, the gold. They're mining your gold again. You know, what percentage of your earnings, of your sweat equity, do you not consider to be slavery, folks? When they're taxing your land, your real estate. Because they know your current state of mind is in a state of disrepair. Because they've got you by the balls because of the spelling. You've got no testimony, which is testicles. In the old days, when you went to court, the court of public opinion, you'd have to put your testicles on the table, and the guy would stand on the other side of the table with a gavel, and if the public thought you were lying, then the guy would whack you on the testicles. And that was your testimony, and you were moaning too. So you didn't lie, because you had vested interest. Your balls were on the line, literally. I don't know what they did for women in the early courts, when they were caught on the court. The tennis is played on a court. Well, that's another court. That's a racket. This one's a racket though, folks. And there's no love in this game. Never any love in that game. And they've got to tell you what they're doing, and they do. They tell you exactly what they're doing, folks. Because government is mind control. Okay, I've showed you that before. Government, the actual word, definition of the word is mind control. Governare, it's Latin, again. Latin, see, our English is so full of Latin. See, there's your last name. That's your last name you'll ever have. It's in full capitals. Capitis, Dominutio, Maxima. The maximum distinguishment of your rights. Is that how it's going? It should be. I'd be pretty pissed off. I was when I started to find out a lot of this stuff. It started to piss me off. And I've been working on this stuff for quite some time now. Oh, I've forgotten what I was even looking for then. Sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, the time is now. The time's now, folks. No more time to make around. No more time for mucking around. No more time for pussyfooting around. We got to get our feet firmly established back on the ground. Because that's how it is, mate. That's how it is. System's starting to crack. It's starting to crack, folks, and we've got it. We've got it by the balls. It's actually already a done deal. But there's going to be a bit of, you know, when a cornered rat's cornered, when a rat gets cornered, they can get nasty. Those rats, you know, but there's certain things we can do, folks, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. You guys are. You guys sitting here listening to this now. You know, sharing's caring. Get the information out there. Get involved. Start putting your pen to paper and start writing a few of these so-called authorities. Start helping out. There's a few websites you can go to. I mean, yeah, another form of religion. Just replace that with religion. No religion is immune to infection, politics and the corruption of power. But it's the same with anything. Any of these institutions, because they're an institution. They put mental people in an institution, folks. That's what they call them. Your place of your House of Parliament. Parleur Parliament is from two words, French. Parleur meaning to speak, and mentir meaning lies. So they're telling you exactly what they're doing. So government being mind control, and Parliament being a house of lies. So they're mind controllers telling you operating from a house of lies, folks. And these guys here, they've got them working right up their butts. You know, any of these media outlets, the media. Remember the media? The media outlets, they're owned, folks. They get their funding from the government. Do you think they're going to say anything against the government? I mean, do you really think they're going to speak out or go against the narrative of the agenda of your government that's not even yours? I mean, they operate to totally different rules and regulations to you, folks. You've got no control over government and what they do. When have you ever? I mean, all this lockdown rules that they did, impeding people's freedoms of rights, left, right and centre, stripping them away. I mean, come on, folks. Seriously, they've got us in this disconnect. We've got to get back out of the public and back into the private. Again, this one over here is the world of the dead. We have public government created by the state, and it's not a very good state of mind. You're a public servant. These guys over here, police are your public servants, folks. When you ask them a question, they are obligated to answer you. Okay? You're not obligated to answer any of their questions. They, as a public, operating in a public capacity, as an agent of the state, they are obligated to answer your questions, folks. But you have no obligation to answer theirs. And I can show you that. See, it's getting a bit dark in here. I might just finish. Oh, there's your testicles and your testimony. That's you. When they summons the dead. Remember how they summons the dead? That's what they do. They summons you. They summons the dead and they get you to put your hands up for the dead entity, corporate entity. Oh, gosh, I forgot what I was looking for again then. Sorry. Oh, here it is, yeah. Your privilege, here it is. Your privilege against self-incrimination. Actually, I'll find it. It's in here, actually. It's actually page 236. I'll find it for you in the dictionary itself. Here it is. Here it is there, folks. That's your privilege against self-incrimination, which is the common law right of a person not to answer questions or produce material that may tend to incriminate the person of a criminal offence or expose the person to a civil penalty. It goes on to say, okay, it goes on to say, a law enforcement officer is entitled to ask questions relating to the citizen's identity and otherwise, but the citizen is entitled to refuse to give the information. Oh, sorry, you weren't looking at it. It's right there. That's it, folks. You don't have to answer their questions. They are obligated to answer yours. That's how it works. That's how it works, folks. They are public agents. Now, if, as is in most of the cases, actually I'll show you this too. It's quite a funny thing here. I had a run-in with the police quite a while ago, and I posted it on my Facebook page. Not my Facebook page, sorry. Oh yeah, there we go. That one. There. On Not the Norm radio show, but it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up there at all. But if you put a search in here, pissed off Kiwi and do a search, it'll come up and it's that one there. But for some reason, I don't know why, it doesn't show up on my page. But that was just one time I was taking my kids to the beach, and these cops pulled me over.
So I can prove who you are.
Yeah, so I can prove who you are. You wankers, they're wankers, folks. And yeah, in the end, he ended up threatening me with arrest. And he was threatening me with arrest because I wouldn't hand over my license, my licentious. I admitted I had a license, but I clearly admitted to him that I had a license because I do have a license, and that makes me a bit of a hypocrite, from all the stuff I'm saying, and I admit it. But the consequences, and I learnt this the hard way because I drove around for many years without a license and without a warrant or a registration, although my vehicle was safe, and I got into all sorts of trouble over it. But that's okay. I learnt my lesson, and I learnt again. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game out there, folks. And so if there were 500 people out there doing it, we'd be all good. We'd be all well and good. But because there's only Joe Blogg out there on his own, then you know what they say about the nail that stands up the highest, and the only nail that sticks up the highest gets hammered first. And the government's the only tool the government has is a hammer, isn't it? It's the only tool the government has, folks, is a hammer. And they love hammering this stuff home to you. I was looking for license, wasn't I? Anyway, yeah, well, that's what it is. This is what it is. This is what's going on. There's the word government from governo or governare, meaning to control. Latin means mind. It just means mind control, folks. Government is mind control. They've got to tell you what they're doing. They've got to tell you what they're doing. That's what they're doing, folks. And they're telling you. And they're using the language and the symbols and the signs and the ciphers and the personas and the characters, the caricatures, to get you into a state of anxiety. Oh, there's something wrong, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Well, this is it, folks. It's the language. It's one of the biggest conspiracies out there. It is probably the biggest, because most people know about the chemtrails or the fluoride or the vaccines or the 5G. I mean, most people know about that. But unless they know about this stuff, I mean, it doesn't matter how much meditation you're going to do or how much yoga you're going to do, folks. As soon as you walk out the door and you run into a police officer or the authorities of government, the mind controllers, then you're going to get into trouble. You're going to be in deep water, aren't you? You're going to be in deep water, and it's going to be unfathomable because you weren't causing any harm or any injury. There was no victim, but yet you're over here. And they're draining your sense, folks. Because you're a surety. You become a surety. Over here, you're on shore. Over here, you're shore because you're on the land. You see that? That's how that works. But over here, you're in surety. You're insured. You've got limited liability over there. Over here, you've actually got unlimited liability. 100% responsibility. Over here, you've got total ability to respond. And there's all sorts of individuals out there in many different positions of power and levels of education and professionalism and scientists and whatever that have told us over many years and been trying to tell us. JFK is a prime example. He dealt to him. But this is, these words, it's one of the biggest conspiracies out there. It's one of the most clever ones out there. Again, when the government says they want to find a solution, they're just going to attack you. That's what they do, folks. That's what they do. They've got to tell you what they're doing. They've got to tell you what they're doing, because that confers your consent until you object. Because the thing that stops their vessels is objection, folks. Dollars, dolan, means pain. This is a fractional reserve banking system. If you get into that, you'll see how farcical that is. And we'll see what they're doing now is they're this is a good analogy, you know, of the money system. When they print more money, folks, it's like having concentrated orange juice. The more water you add to it, or the more money you print, the weaker it gets. So it's a very clever form of a tax. It's a very clever form of a tax. It's attacking you. Again, they've got to tell you what they're doing. So they're devaluing your dollar. You want to get your money out of the bank, folks, because it's because things are changing. Receipt, even the word receipt, it's a tongue of old English, tongue of old, and can be rabbit hole translated to the record of the fraud. Because you're using a debt-based money system. It's all debt. It's all debt, folks. Oh, yeah, with regards to that privilege against self-incrimination, you've got to kind of understand how the name is not yours. Well, your last name is not yours. The government has copyrighted your last name, okay? They've copyrighted they're the owner of your ship. Where did I put it? I'm sure I had that there somewhere. Maybe I didn't. Copyright ownership's the crown. You are the crown, in fact, folks. You are the dead entity, the fictional entity that's created. You need to stand up and take ownership of the crown. You need to crown yourselves. Oh yeah, that was religion. About circa 1200 BC that word came about. Servius Lactantius, Augustine, and even among the later modern writers, interpretation of the etymology connects with religare, or to bind fast. Okay, via notion of place of obligation, bond between humans and gods. It's contract. It was a contract. You know, these guys, they got their god. Gold, oil and diamonds, or drugs. Gold, oil and drugs is their god. But we know this. We know this. Because frequency, something that's frequent, is comfort, isn't it? It's comforting. When something's frequently. Oh yeah, the mailman drops the mail off frequently. If we like that, we get used to that, don't we? So frequency's good. Frequency's a good thing. It gives us comfort. Oh, there we go. It gives us comfort. A community fort. We feel safe with the frequency, don't we? Coming in waves. But unfortunately, the frequency we're picking up hurts. We're picking up hurts, and it's pain. Pain's the dollar. The ball of pain. Because we're having our vessels liquidated consistently, constantly. Because that's what they do, and they tell us what they're doing. They're mining your value, folks. Because you don't mind. So we need to get back to... We might just sign up here, sign off actually, guys. I'll just have a quick hello, g'day everyone. Di's still there. Craig Anderson, Buchanan, Ray, Jason, Martha. Hey, thanks for joining us, Martha. Peter, how you doing? David, nice to see you here. Nighty, nice to have you on board. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a little bit of a live today. I've loaded up a few videos onto my YouTube channel, but it was just nice being live with people. And it wasn't much of a day here today in Nelson, so it was a bit cold. I had a bit of time on my hands, so yeah. So thanks for joining us. I'll load this up onto me, not the norm YouTube channel. So yeah. So if you can't find Norm by searching Not the Norm, search for Pissed Off Kiwi. It's the picture of the guy with the cop, but it doesn't show up on my channel page for some reason. I don't know why it won't. I've made it public and all the rest of it, but anyway, that's my channel there. So you go along, like a few of my videos, that'd be good. And you guys have a great evening. Remember, get back to the heart of things, back to the heart of the matter. Keep your energy up there. Fill your own cups, folks. Look after yourselves first, and then go out there and quench the thirsts of others. That's what we do. That's what we do. And no good being empty and running on empty out there, folks. Look after yourselves first. Look after your vessels first. That's what we do. Because then when your motor vehicle's running in full tune, then you're unstoppable. You can go anywhere. Hey, you can climb any mountain, any track, any road. That's how it works, folks. So remember, little gifts of divinity out there, shine your light. Shine your light into all those dark corners. Even though it might incite you. You know, because there's lots of stuff going on in dark corners that need light shedding on, folks. And someone's got to do it. You've got to find the strength to do it. God knows I can't. I can't look at any of these bloody pedo crappy... I just can't watch them. And even in the animals being... I just can't watch it. I just can't. I can't do it. I'm too empathetic. I feel the pain of that, of what's going on out there, folks. And even just in my own little vessel here now, I still feel the pain and the screams that are going on out there. And they've got to be stopped. We've got to bring it back into harmony. Back into attunement, and we can atone and be in accordance with each other. Hey, that's how it works, folks. Because remember that? We all place ourselves in danger to one degree or another when we stand up, folks. But we place our children and our grandchildren in even greater danger when we don't. Okay? Now all these religious leaders, Buddha was not a Buddhist, Jesus was not a Christian, Muhammad was not a Muslim. They were teachers who taught love. Love was their religion. And they were teaching yourselves about you. Okay? It's all about you. It's all about you. Hey, love and light out there, guys. Put yourselves on high beam and let's do this. See you later.